Welcome to Homefront on County Cable Montgomery. I'm Mike Subin. I represent the county's Commission on Veterans Affairs. Homefront takes you inside the stories of Montgomery County's veterans. We often talk about our veterans and how their service impacts the rest of their lives. We also talk about the way they can be helped. Today we're going to talk about an innovative way that can help certain veterans gain confidence and skills to shape their lives ahead. Today we're focusing on a special Toastmasters group being organized specifically for veterans. My special guests today are Bernadette Garrett and Bonnie Maidak of Toastmasters District 36, which is based in the Washington region. Welcome to both of you.
Hi, Mike.
They're helping organize the chapter. Most people know that Montgomery County is home to the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. Many of our severely wounded veterans come here for treatment. Did that location influence your decision to start the special chapter of Toastmasters?
Well, Mike, although it was definitely a point and a location that we were definitely considering, and we reached out to them actually, but the overall desire for us to put this type of chapter or club together is based off of my military experience as a veteran, as well as transitioning from the military into civilian life. And I just found that Toastmasters helped me refine some of the skills that I'd already had in the military when it came to my public speaking, how I had interpersonal communication with those that weren't necessarily in the military, and I had to adjust how I communicated with them. Toastmasters helped me with that.
So your experiences, and then Bonnie, we'll get to you on that, but I wanted to specifically focus on Bernadette's experience of serving and then the transition. Gave you the perspective of what the problems are, what our brothers and sisters face when they're transitioning out. Was that a motivator? Did that help you in setting the chapter up or thinking of this specific need?
It definitely was a motivator for establishing this particular club, because there's sometimes a communication gap when we're transitioning from our military lingo and conversations with our colleagues to those in the private sector. And it's not always recognized until me as a military member move into the civilian sector.
Bonnie, your turn.
Well, I was actually a part of the club that was at the Bethesda Naval Hospital before Walter Reed was moved over there. And that's where I learned that there are some differences with military. It is not the order hierarchical structure in a volunteer organization like Toastmasters. You lead a different way. You cannot just order someone. You have to definitely build up your persuasive abilities to influence people. And so I was very happy to be a member of that club. Unfortunately, when the security measures were put into place at Walter Reed, it made it more difficult for non-military to be able to be a member of that club.
Speaking of that, most people don't understand that the Walter Reed Military Medical Center is a campus with so many different commands. I have no idea, and every time I drive around I see a different one. Did that present a problem in organizing this?
I don't think it presented a problem in organizing this particular chapter, and I'll let Bernadette speak to the groups that she has reached out to. What the issue that happened with the Walter Reed campus was we did have a club at the USUHS, the medical school for the military. There was the club on the Bethesda Naval Hospital campus, and the two groups didn't interact because of the difference in commands. Bernadette?
And one of the things when we're looking at putting this club together, we understand that it is geared towards veterans, military transitioning, their spouses and their families, as well as wounded warriors, that we also have other supporters that are not military. So we look at those potential logistical issues when we were putting the club together, when we're looking at establishing this particular club. And we want it to be a community club, but geared towards veterans transitioning military, their families, as well as those caregivers for our wounded warriors.
By being a member of this particular club, you know that not only does everyone want to improve their public speaking skills, and one of the ones that's the best that I've developed through my years of being a member is my impromptu speaking. So I'm not too fazed by this experience, because with our Table Topics event that happens within a club, we practice our impromptu speaking. And the other issue with this particular club is that everyone is going to be affiliated with the military in some aspect.
Yeah, I wanted to go through those general issues to give our audience the perspective of why we're looking at this as a special group. And it has different attributes and different problems that so many other Toastmaster clubs do not have. There are many organizations, particularly nonprofit organizations, that try to help people with their public speaking skills. What makes this group different?
Well, I would say that the biggest difference between Toastmasters and some of those profit organizations is they're trying to tell you how to do it, but you often don't get the experience to do it. So every meeting you can speak, and it is that constant, continual improvement in people that we see through Toastmasters. It's peer-to-peer relationship.
You know, one of the issues that I see, and Bernadette touched on this earlier, is with the transition from military life to public life. And that means that there are going to be job interviews.
Yes.
And for many of us, that seems like a simple thing. What problems does that present to military individuals who are transitioning out?
It all depends on that military person's experience. I say that every veteran has their own experience, but what's commonly known, especially when you go do an interview, is the jargon that we're used to. For me, I was used to using a lot of acronyms when I did briefings and presentations to my leadership as well as to my peers. Bottom line up front, BLUF. That was a common acronym that I used in the military, but I needed to be careful when I interviewed for a job in the private sector, because they don't understand that acronym. So I needed to make sure that I refined my communication skills, and through, like as Bonnie has stated, Table Topics, making sure that when I'm asked a question, I'm thinking it through thoroughly. And when I present that question, I also have to retool the language that I use. And you get to practice that in a Toastmasters meeting.
You know, most of us who are transitioning out, most of our brothers and sisters are coming out with PTSD.
Yeah.
Does that present a special challenge?
I'll let Bernadette tell this story of the Australian soldier who shared in an article in the Toastmasters magazine how participating in a Toastmasters club actually helped his PTSD. We're not medical professionals, but yet I think the club is a supportive environment, and there is an article that she has access to.
Actually, Bonnie just told the story.
But that's why we have two guests.
But she's absolutely right, and that was one of the things that motivated myself, as well as a couple of the other seasoned Toastmasters and some that are veterans, to look a little deeper at how Toastmasters could benefit our wounded warriors and brothers and sisters in arms as they transition, as well as their families as they transition as well. It's a huge transition for their family members and caregivers also.
Do you teach them tricks on how to make that public speaking easier? I know for me, as long as I've been doing public speaking, I can't have trouble looking straight out. I need to look up at something and focus on something in the back so that I'm not looking down. Or to the side.
So I would say that, again, for Table Topics, there are some patterns that you can use to answer a question. The past, the present, the future. A pro and a con. The table topics answers are very short, though. They're only 1 to 2 minutes. But you can get over that fear of speaking. In a club meeting, we often have speeches that are longer, 5 to 7 minutes, and an evaluator will give you feedback. And we will often comment if someone continuously looks up and not makes eye contact. But there are ways that you can learn how to make eye contact and yet not completely look at someone.
Well, what I do is I don't just focus on one spot. I'm moving back and forth. I'm trying to look down a little bit.
And if I could add to what Bonnie just stated, far as the patterns, practice, practice, practice. We encourage members to continually participate and work on those particular things that they are not confident, whether it's eye contact, whether it's using a lot of hand gestures or nervous movement. I don't know many public speakers that don't ever get nervous at any point in time.
They're lying if they say they don't.
That's right.
It's just a matter of learning how to control it.
If you're not nervous, then it means in a way that you're not interested in what you're saying. I really want to say also that Toastmasters transforms your life. And for this group of the military, it is important that they recognize that this is a safe environment. They can tell any story about their service and that they will be supported by those people who are there.
For those of you in the audience who didn't know what she just went through, that is an incredible issue. Mm-hmm. It's an incredible issue. Toastmasters, I would imagine, has a pretty much script in terms of what the chapters do and how they go through teaching somebody. Are you off script because of the special issues?
Well,
I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm saying that would be good.
No, I don't
there
think
is
so.
a format with regards to a Toastmasters meeting, but every club has its own culture, and we cultivate that culture within the educational program that Toastmasters presents.
There's a little bit of flexibility that a club can add or have particular. There's a business-oriented club. They have a business tip of the day, for instance.
As we prepare to close out this, what I feel has been a fantastic issue and fantastic job that you guys are doing, if someone wanted to join this chapter of Toastmasters, what's the best way for them to prepare for their first meeting, and how do they join?
They don't have to do any preparation. It's totally up to them with what they want to come to Toastmasters meeting to get out of it. They will be greeted by a friendly group of people that will help them understand the meeting and take them to the next level.
They can write to info.
Go ahead.
Okay. info@district36.org. That's info@district36.org.
Okay. Thank you both for joining us for this special edition of Homefront for County Cable Montgomery. Every show tries to bring you another look at the people who have been serving our county and the people who serve them. And I want to thank our special guests, Bernadette Garrett and Bonnie Maidak. I'm Mike Subin. On behalf of the Montgomery County Commission on Veterans Affairs, I want to thank you for joining us.